Hey everybody. I know right now prices for homes are at an all-time high and interest rates are pretty high. They have come down a little bit, but still, right now is the time to be buying a home. And I know you're asking yourself, Scott, prices are high, interest rates are high. Why is right now the best time to be buying a home? I'm going to dive into some of those numbers right now. So bear with me a little bit. Take a look at these. And if you're interested in numbers very specific to your exact area, please call me 847-654-9957 and we'll dive into the numbers very specific to you. But here we go. Let's take a look at these national numbers. All right, sometimes these numbers can be boring, but let's buzz right through them. This line you see kind of slowly going up this way, that's the 4% trend line. That's the long-term average appreciation rate for housing prices. You can see here back in the 2006, 7, 8 kind of time frame, housing prices got way above the trend line, which is not good. It was 21% over the trend line. That in combination with some poor lending practices, that led to this crash where you can see the housing prices kind of dipped there. But since then, it's been going up at kind of that 4% clip until COVID hit, and that's when appreciation, inflation kind of pushed housing prices above the trend line, but we're not that far above the trend line, and you can see they're kind of flattening out to kind of meet back up with the trend line. So if you're expecting a major pullback, that's going to take some major economic issues. But right now, housing prices are not that crazy high. They're just a little bit above that trend line. Now let's jump over to the next slide where it shows the appreciation rate over time. I'm going to get up and out of the way a little bit here. But you can see way back, and this is the 1950s, it was pretty flat, a little bit of an increase, but then pretty flat. And then all these notes coming across the bottom here, those are different economic things that happened over time. Most of them are referencing some sort of recession. But as you can see, in most of these recessions, the appreciation rate just kind of flattened out, came near zero. That's not price drops, that's near zero. So prices just kind of flattened out. There are a couple brief periods in time where prices actually did drop, but it looks like those are small enough that they're probably only like 2 to 6 month periods, and they only dropped just a little bit. The most recent drop in actual prices was in May of 2023, and that was less than 0.5%. You can see that over there. The big price drop that you can see in the early 2000s, that was the Great Recession and the housing crisis that kind of came with it. But if you jump back to the previous slide, you can see prices were following the trend line, and then they came down, and then they've just been going up since then. So even though we've kind of come into a little bit of a recession, prices are still way up there, as you can see. If you're a home buyer out there and you're saying, Scott, there's just nothing to buy, well, unfortunately, you're kind of correct. So as you can see in this chart, this is the number of annual home sales. Essentially, the last few years, anything that's come on the market has been getting sold. You can see this is some of the lowest number of sales in recent history. You can see some of the numbers. They come way down back in the early 90s, a little bit lower than this. But yeah, in recent history, there's just not that been much available. So as a home buyer, the main tip to take from this is prepare yourself early. Talk to me. Give me a call now so we can kind of prepare for what you want. We'll also talk to a lender so you can get pre-approved right now. So when the right home does come on the market, you're going to be ready to go and jump on it because a lot of other buyers are doing the same thing. And this chart here is the month supply of inventory. It's kind of repeating the same thing. This basically says if of the existing houses on the market, if no new houses came on the market, how fast would all the homes be sold at today, last month's pace? And essentially 3.7 months, everything is going to be sold out. However, thankfully, more and more houses do keep coming on the market. It's just the last handful of years, it's just not that many have been coming up on the market. So right now we've got very few sellers, and plentiful buyers. So there's still a lot of buyers out there that are very interested. Even in today's prices and interest rates, things are still selling. That's going to keep prices, appreciating, coming on up. And speaking of interest rates, here's the historical average that we're looking at. You can see these lines, these dashed lines coming across at 6% is kind of the average for the last 34 years, 35 years. And then 7.72% right about here is the average going back into the 70s. Now, if you're one of those buyers that says, I'm going to wait until interest rates come down, you could be waiting a long time. Somebody said that in 1972. They waited about 20 years, missing out about appreciation of about 4 times the prices. So if you waited for interest rates to come down, that was an extreme environment. But if you waited for interest rates to come down, then you missed out on about 400% of appreciation over that time. So the key is to buy your house now at today's prices. And as we saw on those appreciation charts a minute ago, if you buy at today's prices, let the appreciation continue to climb, and then in a couple of years when interest rates are down at a better rate, then you can refinance, and you're not buying at the inflated prices a couple of years from now. But you've got today's price, then you're just refinancing later for that lower monthly payment. And then here's a quick pie chart showing you kind of, this is part of the reason why we have such low inventory, is because 74% of homeowners currently have interest rates of 5% and below. So if they don't have to move, there's very low incentive for them to move, because right now it's 6.75–7% interest rate. So a lot of homeowners, they just don't want to have that increase in pricing. And if you're still not sure if real estate is the place to be putting your money right now, because you're thinking of maybe a pullback or whatever is going on, here's a chart showing where high net worth individuals are putting their money over these last number of years. You can see in the bottom 2 lines are the differences between 2023 and 2024. As you can see, high net worth individuals are pulling out of cash. There's a reduction in the amount of cash. They're putting it into fixed income assets and real estate for the most part. There's a little reduction in the stock market, maybe a little less confidence there, and a little bit of increase in alternative investments. I'm not sure what that is, but maybe it's bourbon barrels or wine collecting. I don't know. But a lot of high net worth individuals are pulling their money out of cash and going into real estate and fixed income assets. So real estate is still pretty high in confidence for high net worth individuals. So if you're still on the fence or you're ready to make a move in real estate, please give me a call. We can discuss what's going on in your local area, like your very local area. We can get the valuation on your house, or we can talk about the buying process and how to set yourself up to be successful in the purchase of your new home.